God is dead. One of the most famous and misunderstood quotes in philosophy. But what if I told you the man behind it wasn't trying to destroy faith? He was trying to warn us about a deeper crisis. This is the story of Friedrich Nietzsche, the most misunderstood philosopher of all time. Part 1. A Life of Struggle. Nietzsche was born in 1844 in Germany. He was a brilliant thinker, a professor at just 24 years old, and later a writer who challenged almost every belief society held. But here's the twist. Most people hated what he had to say. Or worse, they read him wrong. He wasn't just a rebel without a cause. He was a man ahead of his time. Imagine being centuries ahead of your era. That's how much of his work was misunderstood during his lifetime. Nietzsche's life was as dramatic as his ideas. Chronic illness, isolation, a mental breakdown. Yet he wrote with fire and clarity, like a wounded lion. His words cut deep, shaking the foundations of what we believe. So let's break down the biggest, the quote that made him famous. God is dead. Now people think he was celebrating that there's no God. Wrong. Nietzsche was worried. In a world where religion no longer guides us, he asked, what happens to our values, our purpose? He feared society would fall into nihilism, believing in nothing, embracing chaos, and losing their way. Part 2. The Birth of the Superhero. Enter the Übermensch, often translated as the Superman or the Übermensch. Sounds like a comic book hero, right? Well, not exactly. Nietzsche turned the traditional hero on its head. You see, he wasn't talking about someone with superpowers, but someone who rises above the herd, creates their own values and lives with courage, even in the face of chaos. The Übermensch isn't a conqueror, but a creator. Think of it as the ultimate life form, not because it's powerful, but because it's free. Free to create, free to decide, free to suffer. The Übermensch isn't born, it becomes. It's the person who says, I won't be crushed by the meaninglessness of existence. I will create my own meaning. That's the hero of Nietzsche's story, not a demigod, but a human being who reaches their fullest potential. Part 3. Will to Power. Now this sounds dangerous, doesn't it? Will to power sounds like a lust for domination. But for Nietzsche, it's the driving force within us all. It's the desire to grow, to overcome, to shape your own destiny. For Nietzsche, we're all like a drop in the ocean, part of something bigger, yet driven by an inner fire. That's the will to power. And just as the ocean can't stop the drop from evaporating, we can't stop our will to power from seeking expression. It's like a magnet. We attract what we're meant to be. And if we don't understand or control that force, it can lead to chaos. Nietzsche said, whoever has a why can endure any how. When we have a strong sense of purpose, we can handle anything. But if we don't know what drives us, what gives our life meaning, we become lost. Part 4. Beyond Good and Evil. Nietzsche didn't believe in absolute good and evil. He thought those were human creations, useful, but not absolute. Instead, he believed that we should judge actions based on their consequences. Does it make you happy? Does it make the world better? If so, Nietzsche would say, go for it. But if it harms you or others, maybe it's time to rethink. It's a way of thinking that values personal growth and happiness, but also the betterment of humanity. Nietzsche wasn't a hedonist who said, only seek pleasure. He cared about the quality of our lives and the state of the world. He wanted us to move beyond simple rules and embrace the complexity of life. Part 5. The Twilight of the Idols. These are some of Nietzsche's final writings, like cryptic notes left behind by a wise traveler. They're filled with gems like, all truths are half-truths. The world isn't black or white. Everything has two sides. Even science, which Nietzsche admired, can't explain everything. There are limits to knowledge. And when we think we know it all, we become arrogant. He was right. Science alone can't answer questions about meaning and value. It's like having a toolbox. If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Nietzsche encourages us to keep learning, but also to be humble and open-minded. In the end, he leaves us with a challenge. Become who you are. It's not about conforming to someone else's expectations. It's about embracing your unique journey, becoming the best version of yourself. After Nietzsche's death in 1900, his work was edited, twisted, by his sister, Elizabeth, who had Nazi sympathies. This is how Nietzsche got wrongly associated with Hitler and fascism. But Nietzsche hated nationalism and groupthink. He once wrote, "All great things must first wear terrifying and monstrous masks." He knew his ideas would be misunderstood. But maybe, just maybe, he hoped someone like you would look deeper. Nietzsche doesn't give you easy answers. He challenges you to ask, what do I stand for? What do I believe in? Am I blindly following, or am I creating my path? Misunderstood? Definitely. But maybe that's what makes him timeless. Don't fear the void. Learn to dance with it. That's all for now. See you next time.